Namaskar and welcome to a video lesson on Unit 5, Development of Education in India Before Independence. It's a part of the course paper, Contemporary Indian Society and Education. In this particular unit, we will have two video lessons, one on ancient and medieval education system in India, and the second one on education under colonial and imperial rule. First lesson, we will be focusing on ancient and medieval education system in India. Let me go through the learning outcomes of this particular area of the Unit 5. After completing this video lesson along with the course material provided to you, and by referring different resources through online as well as offline, the learner will be able to understand the development of education in India during ancient and medieval periods, and they will be able to compare the education system of each period within the context of its social, political and economic backgrounds. They will be also going to get an idea about subordinate position of education as a social subsystem. And before going to share viewpoints about the education system in ancient as well as medieval Indian society, let me start with initial remarks about the importance of understanding this particular knowledge area in our life. You all may be aware about the National Education Policy 2020 released by our Government of India. And this policy has come after a gap of 34 years, and it has been appreciated by the academicians and other experts in the field of education across the world. The reason behind it is the very important contribution of this policy once it is implemented in a better way, and the outcome we are expecting is education through work, education through doing, and education through practice is going to be emphasized through this policy, which means it has given importance to our ancient Indian knowledge system. It has given importance to the way our Gurukula system happened in ancient times, the teaching learning processes, the methods of teaching, the relationship between teachers and students, and the way the students were practiced what they learned during those periods have been emphasized in this policy, and the policy is hopeful that for preparing a 21st century citizen, it is essential to have the knowledge, skill and attitude required for moving forward in the direction of 21st century changes. That means the required competency need to be instilled among our children as a part of education. And this has happened during the ancient periods in many ways. Let us go through the different areas that we need to be shared during this discussion. And as I mentioned, this particular lesson we will be concentrating on ancient Indian knowledge system, education system, and in the ancient period till the independence, Indian independence, if you see the different education system provided in Indian society, broadly we can classify it into three categories. One is the ancient time, which includes our Vedic period as well as the Buddhist period. The second one, the medieval period, which are earmarked with the Islam period or the Mughal period and all. And the third one, the British rule, or during which the colonial as well as imperial governance happened in India. Therefore, our discussion will be for this particular lesson concentrating on the first two, ancient period as well as medieval period, and in the second lesson we will be going to have a discussion on colonial as well as imperial periods. Now, in the ancient education, as I mentioned, we can have two important periods which are very, very crucial even in today's, because many of the world educationists has accepted its value, and they recognized the value of the ancient Indian educations and the contribution of the ancient Indian philosophers, mathematicians, astronomers, etc. in the field of education. And there are two aspects in the ancient education. One is during the Vedic period education, and second one is the period where the Buddhism came and the Buddhist contribution in the field of education. And if you say Vedic period, it has a history of starting from even 5000 BC till up to the 500 BC, having a longer duration with many contribution in the area of education. And let me start with our presentation with the different points. We will be having a presentation on aims of education. Then we will have a discussion on the prominent system of education happened during this both period, Vedic as well as Buddhist period. Then we will have a discussion on the method of teaching. We will have a discussion on the curriculum provided during that time, the teacher-student relationship, and so on and so forth. And what are the aims of education during the Vedic period? Of course, all those periods, ancient period, both in Vedic as well as Buddhist period, the primary concern was on religion. Even in the Muslim period, it has been the religious education. When Britishers came, it was also highlighted the religious education with different purpose in mind. And the enrichment of culture and character and cultivation of noble ideals has been considered as a very important aim of education during the Vedic period. Development of the mental, physical, intellectual personality of the students, or we can say that the holistic development of the child has been given importance during the Vedic education. And along with this holistic development, the Vedic education has given priority to ensure that all the students are getting practical knowledge to survive in the situation or survive in any environment. Or we can say that the education has focused on preparing the child for the future. And along with that, the spiritual development and self-realization. It is the ultimate aim of education as per the Vedic period. The attained self-realization has been also given priorities in the Vedic period. Whereas in the Buddhist period, you can see the similar type of objectives with more focus on inculcation of feeling of world brotherhood and human beings. It has been given more focus during the Buddhist period since the relationship between the individual, the societies, the different people have been given priority in those time. Even their supports, the respect given by one person to the other, the affiliation to the different group of people, all those things. The universal brotherhood has been given a priority during the Buddhist period, since the Buddhism believes in the universal brotherhood policy. And along with that, it also has given importance to the all-round development or the holistic development of the individual, as we have seen during the Vedic period. And then it has given more importance to the power of reasoning, improving the power of reasoning among the students by inculcating the thinking power, logical thinking and all during those periods. And along with that, the Buddhism, it is the religious aspect during that, and they want to spread the Buddhism all over the world. Therefore, it has been given importance to the religious and spiritual development of the individual, and even going further, they also aimed in using the capacity of the children. They also considered the children as the people, those who can spread their religion across the world. Now we are moving to the second part. As I mentioned, there are some prominent educational centers or the learning centers during both periods. And in Vedic period, the learning centers are Gurukula system or Gurukulas, or we will say it's ashrams. Gurukula or ashram system of education has been prominent during the Vedic system. It was situated mostly in the forest areas, in a serene environment, with a calm environment, where the guru or the teacher as well as the shishyas will be staying, working together. They will be residing in the same campus, maybe in the same ashram or nearby. They will be staying together. It is like a residential in nature, and they will be sharing everything, and the guru will be looking after the shishya not only for education, for all other needs of the shishyas will be provided by the guru, their lodging, their food, their clothing, whatever their needs, it will be fulfilled by the teacher or the guru. Therefore, this Gurukula system created a long, strong bond between the guru as well as the shishya. That is why the NEP 2020, you might have seen one sentence in the National Education Policy 2020, it's mentioned that we need to restore the status of teacher-pupil relationship, or the status given to the teaching profession, as well as the respect given to the teachers that was prevailed during the ancient Indian education system. And this type of relationship, the teacher-student relationship need to restore, and it will happen only during a system which will provide enough opportunity to the teacher to understand and support the students in every way in his or her holistic development. And in this particular system, a student after the initiation ceremony, it is usually known as Upanayana. Once the initiation ceremony happens, the student will be along with the guru, sitting and residing along with the guru, and they start learning religious education and other aspects also. And they have to continue their education around 12 years continuously, and they will not get a chance to go back to their home, or they will not get a chance to interact with the family members or other people during those times. It was the beauty of the Gurukula system of education. And it comes to the Buddhist system. Monasteries or viharas are the learning center during those systems, and the monk or the acharya or upadhyaya, who is known as the teacher, was responsible for teaching and intellectual upbringing of the children. Similar to the system during the Vedic periods, the Gurukula system, here the monasteries also is a system which is fully residential. The students need to come to the monastery, and they need to reside, and they need to undergo the education for more than 12 years. And unlike in the Vedic period, the students even, they may not be able to go back. If they are going back, it is based on the opinion of all the teachers, the monks. If they are good students, they are getting high rank and high appreciation from different gurus. They will be continuing to be there and will become monks or acharyas or upadhyaya by going through the higher education also. And even during this time, the beauty is that all these students, irrespective of their caste or their religion, they will be residing together, they are living together, they are interacting and collaborating together. And unlike in this Vedic system, the ashram or Gurukul, this Gurukul will be under a particular guru. All the Gurukuls will be under a particular guru, but in monastery it will be based on an organization structure. And you can see in a particular monastery there may be more than one monks, and or more than one acharyas. It is an organizational structure wherein this ashram, we cannot see that type of organization structure. It will be handled by a single guru. And this is the major differences you can see between a monastery as well as a Gurukul system of education in the name of organization structure, as well as the residing the students even after the completion of education. All other aspects, their residential aspect, that the relationship between teacher and students, everything are similar in both Gurukul as well as monastery system. Now, going further, what are the different procedures for access to education? Who else are given access to education during these two different systems? Let me compare in this same chart so that you will be getting idea about the access to education in both systems. In Vedic system, early Vedic, if you see Vedic system also, we can have a two period of Vedic system. One is early Vedic and then the later Vedic system. And during the early Vedic system, everyone is free to get education. But in the later Vedic system, because of a strong social stratification in the society based on the caste or varna system, the restriction came and only Brahmins, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas were allowed to attain, get the education, where Shudras were not provided scope for getting educated. But in Buddhist system, we can see that there were no restriction of entry based on one's birth or one's caste or one varna. And anybody require education can go and meet the gurus or the monks, and they can enroll in the education during the Buddhist period. And about the women education, Vedic period women were allowed education, but later on in the post-Vedic they were restricted with some conditions and all. Similarly is the case with the Buddhist also. In both sanghas or the monasteries, women were restricted, and they allowed with the stricter rules, such as they will be sitting, they will be getting a status below the male counterparts and all. There were lots of restrictions during both the periods regarding the women education, access to education. Now, when it comes to the curriculum during both periods, and as I mentioned earlier, both the period, the education, the content has been given importance to imparting the religious education. Therefore, in Vedic, different religious trustees, religious materials were given importance in the curriculum. For Vedas, Vedangas such as Shisha, Chandas, Vyakarana, Nirukta, Jyotisha, Kalpa, the Upanishad, Darshanas, Puranas, Tarkashastras, etc. were given during the Vedic period. Along with those, the curriculum also includes the mathematical areas such as algebra and geometry, the literacy area like grammar, and the science, medicine and all. And the medium of instruction during the Vedic period was Sanskrit, whereas in Buddhist, the focus was on Tripitakas, Vinaya, Sutta and Abhidhamma. Then it also has given importance to the logical reasoning, the grammar, the medicine, along with the vocational training and accountancy. These were given importance during the Buddhist periods, and it is now important that in the Vedic period, physical education, for example, archery, wrestling, all those things has been given more importance, and the physical development of the students were given priority on those time. And in Buddhist period, the medium of instruction was Pali, the language of Buddhist. This is the major differences you can see between the curriculum during the Vedic as well as Buddhist periods. When it comes to the teaching and learning methods, you cannot see much difference between the methods of teaching as well as learning used in Vedic as well as Buddhist period. In Vedic periods, the learning process is based on three processes: Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasana. The first, the child will listen from the teacher, the guru, then they will reflect on what they learned, they will introspect on what they learned, and or they will connect it with their daily life experiences and all, and they will go for Nididhyasana, that is the meditation process to understand the truth and attain the ultimation. And this is the process of learning happened during the Vedic period. It also has given importance to the discussion, question answer method, where the students are free to ask questions and the gurus will be giving answer. In between, even the other students will opportunity to get on reflection through the discussion. And Vedic period has given the importance to peer teaching also. This is one thing that now even our NEP 2020 has made as a recommendation. We need to find out the ways where how we can inculcate peer learning among the students. And it has happened during the Vedic period in the form of peer teaching, where the bright students as well as the senior bright students were given opportunity to support the junior students as well as the students which require more support. And the Buddhist period also, oral types of teaching learning process through lecture method, question answer and logical discussion, debates were the prominent method of teaching. And they have used even conference as a method, sammelan or conference as a method of interaction. Along with that, the demonstration, imitation and practice method also have been used during the Buddhist periods. Regarding the support in the form of finance provided to the teachers or the system during Vedic period as well as Buddhist period, we can see that all the needs of the students, including their food and lodging, were met by the teacher. And from where they will get the money or the income for those type of support. It was a issue for the gurus during those times. And some of the times they got locally support from the local rulers in the form of some grants, or most of the time they got support from the rich people. There were some parents which are very rich. They will be providing them in the form of support in the form of sometimes land, sometimes animals, sometimes foods, etc. And these were the financial support received to the gurus during those times. And once the students complete their education, the students will be giving Guru Darshana to the gurus. That may also maybe in the form of materials, there may be form of some work, providing some work to the gurus and all. There are different forms of Guru Darshana as well, maybe some offerings and all. And during the Buddhist period, students were given fee in the form of materials or labor. And that is another different. You can see financing during the Vedic as well as Buddhist period. In the Vedic period, the students are not supposed to give any fee during the initiation. But in Buddhist period, the students have to give some fee in the form of either material or they may be doing some labor. Of course, in the Vedic period also, the students are supporting the teachers all the times in preparing food, washing and cleaning and all other things, they were supporting the gurus. And the fee collected during the Buddhist period was used for food and lodging expenses only. And during those times, some of the meritorious students were given scholarship by the rulers, local rulers or the organization. And going to the teacher during those, as I mentioned, the teacher during the Vedic period is known as Guru. And education, everything is happened under the supervision of a particular guru. In one ashram means there will be only one guru, and the guru will be supporting the shishyas in all the aspects. It is not an organizational structure. It is one ashram is not under any other organization. Whereas in Buddhist, bhikshus or the monk, there are two types of bhikshus. One is acharya, those who are giving importance to the skill training, who are upadhyaya. They are giving more importance to knowledge along with the informations. And both these teachers were teaching and supporting the students all the time. And even those teachers having for becoming a monk or a bhikshu, they are expected to have spent at least 10 years as a monk. And they need to show some characters, thoughts and generosity, and their character need to be good to become even a acharya or an upadhyaya. That means all the monk may not be considered as an acharya or upadhyaya during those times. And in Vedic, as I mentioned, it is an individual ashram under a guru. Therefore, they have a complete autonomy in all aspects of selection of students, to design their curriculum and so forth. Whereas in Buddhist system, you cannot see that type of autonomy, since it will maybe one monastery means it is under some organization. Therefore, it is not decided by a single teacher. It should be a group of people decided by the syllabi and the decision to even admit the students and all. In both period, the teachers were provided high regard and honor. And in most places, the Vedic as well as Buddhist period, the teachers were male, and male-dominated system, you can see. And they considered in, their students as their son or daughter. That type of intimate relation occurred during this period. And in nutshell, we can say that the ancient education system focused on the holistic development of the child, which is the same as the aim of education even when we are focusing NEP 2020 recommendation. Strong teacher-student relationship occurred during that period, and we need to restore that now. And it is aimed for preparation of life. That also has highlighted in our policy by showing that pre-vocational education, vocational education, and giving importance to the practical aspect of the life. And vocational and skill-based training also has been given importance during this ancient time. Now we will be moving to the second part of this lesson, that is education during medieval periods. And in medieval period, it all happens the coming of Muslims from Persia, Arabia, and Central Asia. It has given some modification and some changes or overruling of the ancient education system. Their intention was to spread their religion, the religion of Islam, all over the country. Therefore, the education also restricted to only very few. And for primary education, they started Maktab, and for secondary and higher education, they started Madrasa. And for Hindu people during those times, the Padasalas were started, and it is not like a residential, like a Gurukula ashram. Padasala were started only for the Hindus. And these are the three prominent educational centers you can see during the medieval periods. And in the period, the aim was to promote Islamic culture and developing the morality and character, inclusion of value like truth, love, brotherhood, peace, and sacrifice, etc. And along with that, it has given importance to the vocational training, etc. And when it comes to the access to education, as I mentioned earlier also, it is restricted to followers of Islam only in the initial period, and only for males, and restricted completely for female. It was around the 17th century, Sikandar Lodi started some movement of allowing admission to Hindu boys also in this madrasa as well as maktabs. It was followed by Akbar. You can say that if you go through the history, read the history books, you can see it was Akbar who made dramatic changes in the system of education during that period, accepting even Hindu religious literature and all, and started even teaching Sanskrit and Pali and all other languages also in India. And centers were started only at cities. That is another, initially learning centers were started only in the urban areas, and they started many libraries and literary centers only in the urban area. Because of that, the people from the rural areas and poor all neglected, and they were not given any education during those periods. And if you see the curriculum during that, oral discussion and recitation of lesson taught were the transactional method, especially the Quran. The oral reading of Quran were considered as important during that period. And during the initial period, teaching of alphabet and recitation of Quran were considered, and later on, after the Mughal Empire's governance, it started logic, arithmetic, geometry, astronomy, agriculture, public administration, etc. also in the curriculum. Even the medicine and accountant secretaries for preparing curriculum for medicine, accountancy, and secretaries also initiated during the later period of the Muslim medieval India. And I would like to provide some of the questions that you can work on to understand completely of this particular lesson. What are the different features of education in ancient Vedic times? How the curriculum of Vedic system differ from that of Buddhist system? And an equal opportunity to all do not follow during Vedic period. Do you agree with these statements? Substantiate your answer with the explanation. What are the difference between the aims of education during Vedic and Buddhist periods? What are the main teaching strategies used by the teachers during Vedic and Buddhist period? Who is a monk? How Acharya differ from an Upadhyaya? What are the salient features of education during the medieval period? Hope this lesson, along with your course material and other resource materials on this, will be helpful for improving your learning about the Vedic education system, the Buddhist education system, as well as the medieval education system in India. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, we have many things to take from these experiences of our olden times, since our NEP 2020 talking about many important aspects which has a root in this ancient education time. Therefore, I feel we need to go through it again and again, need to take the positives from this system when we are moving towards the 21st century. Thank you very much.